Good to see you. Get things organized so you can hear the bell and we can begin to sit together. Have you ever considered that our sitting in zazen is an expression of gratitude, of giving thanks, of thanksgiving? I think so often we consider meditation as something we're doing to get something, not offer something. Maybe we'll become more relaxed, or our mind will be clearer, our heart might be open. All things that do come from sitting zazen, but zazen isn't a yogic meditative activity to achieve or gain anything, but an upright, dignified ceremony of celebration to offer our body and our breath and our attention back to life, which has given us life. To stop and to sit upright is a way of offering our body and our attention and our breath as gratitude. When we release all the striving and hoping and wishing, or the pushing away, and it's difficult on the days in which what's moving through you when you stop doesn't feel pleasant and not like something you would normally feel grateful for. But even the difficulties are pointing to your aliveness. So we sit as an offering. We sit as giving thanks. going to start a little bit differently. And this, I don't have something to screen share with you, so this is going to be call and response. I'll say a line. I will be able to see you say it. I won't be able to hear you. I can see um, I can see your voice, your enunciation, and we'll just go little by little. This is the verse of the Han that we see on the instrument that we play to bring us. So here we go. I'll say the line, and you say it back to me. I'll watch you. Great is the matter of birth and death. All is impermanent, quickly passing. Awake, awake. Don't waste this precious life. Let's go again. Great is the matter of birth and death. All is impermanent, quickly passing. Awake, awake. Don't waste this precious life. Now I'm going to say it all the way through, and nobody can tell if you don't know it. So you can stumble along, see? No, you don't have to be embarrassed. You say it with me now. Great is the matter of birth and death. All is impermanent, quickly passing. Awake, awake. Don't waste this precious life. Well, it's in the United States, it's Thanksgiving week. I'm not sure in other places if there are similar activities or celebrations, but it's every week is a good week to offer gratitude. So it's a good thing for us to focus on and to practice. And we often think about giving thanks, offering our thanks. But I'd like to redirect us a little bit towards what it means to live a life of gratitude. In other words, gratitude as a way of life. Life is an expression of thanksgiving. And why I suggested we reflect on that a little bit just in our sitting. But if that's my invitation, then I have to start. So, thank you for a lifetime of support, for your creative engagement in this community that you keep alive because you show up, and for the real joy that comes from all this. I'm blessed beyond measure. And I think that spiritual practice is about living this kind of life, a life resting in and with an intention or aspiration for the expression of gratitude. And of course, as you know, our practice helps us cultivate this capacity to keep turning toward reality, or what it means to be alive, to appreciate our life, like the call of the Han, great is the matter of birth and death, all is impermanent. This is what we're called to, and to keep choosing it with all the beauty and the terror and the mystery and the horror and the love and the sorrow, the whole thing. It's a lot. But it's what we have. It's actually what we're gifted. And it's possible to base a life in gratitude and offer thanks even when you know the score. See Margaret shaking her head. So let's not fool ourselves. A lot of this is really hard. There's a lot not to like. But even so, it is possible to keep choosing life and to begin to realize that the choosing over and over is the ultimate expression of gratitude. It's the choosing itself, not just what's chosen. It's not gratitude maybe for any particular thing. It's gratitude for being alive, knowing that we'll lose it. Because this is the function of real love in the face of the inevitability of loss. And this is the province of spiritual practice, rather than coping or any other kind of problem solving. The choosing. And one of the hard things to choose is grief. And there are many of us in this community right now actively grieving, quietly grieving, upended by grief, numbed and battered by grief, spun around, slammed by grief, seemingly abandoned in grief. And grief moves in so many ways, but it inevitably does move through us. And a few days ago, Suzanne Kilkus, as you know, one of our entrusted teachers at Open Door in Madison, who has just lost her dear husband of 55 years. We were speaking about these things, and she said, "Oh, by the way, there's a film I want you to watch." And I didn't expect Suzanne to begin to talk about Road Diary, the new documentary about Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band. It was a surprise to me. And so Erin and I watched it. And she said, make sure that you go to the end. And just as a side note, and many of you engage in this, but because of the way that people are on the screen for me, Cassie's right there in front of me. So when I say I think that art is a channel for life force, some of what she's taught me, a medium for us to express in some aesthetic way what it means to be alive. And to me, art and artists express what ordinary descriptions fail to be able to express, but if we're successful, it touches other people too, and it calls us together. Whether there's a piece of music or a beautiful painting, a sculpture, a photograph, poetry, whatever it is, because these are things we can't reason out or quantify, but we can live and we can share. That's life. Life as prayer. Art as spiritual practice. So when I want to tell a little bit about the documentary, not as a pitch for it, although I would love to see you, but you know me, I like stories that happen in everyday life as a way to express the Dharma, and this is one of them. There's a review, many reviews, one of them in Esquire by Robert D'Agostino in October. He wrote that the title of his review was Bruce Springsteen Stares Down the End. And he describes it as an astonishing look at an icon in twilight. And I feel a little self-conscious doing this because, Ed knows these folks, and Ed's brothers and plays keyboards for Bruce and has been known for a long, long time. So I hope I don't say things that are not accurate here, Ed. You can correct me later, but I'm going to read a little tiny bit from the review. But what I saw in this, by the way, were these elements of living in gratitude, which is my theme today, of course. That art and life and death and being awake and looking deeply and gratefully, these themes were in there. So the reviewer wrote this. He said, I saw 3 shows on the tour: Los Angeles, Connecticut, Belfast. I don't know. And he wrote, about halfway through the first show, I understood what he was doing with these shows. And many of you may have seen many of Bruce's shows, but I had not. Rather than his usual style of just mixing up a few dozen great songs every night, he had choreographed a consistent set list of songs that were mostly about facing the end of your life. Resisting death, accepting death, and living with urgency. Sound familiar? Some songs were from the new record written by Bruce when he was in his 70s. Some from 40 or 50 years ago, when death must have seemed a long way off. So I noticed in the beginning of the documentary, what you see, he literally scribbles out a set list, and everyone's watching him, the band, as they get back together after being gone in the pandemic. And speaking about this process, these are Bruce's words. He says, this is going to communicate the story you're trying to tell your audience this time around. Talking about a set list. He said, and the 25 songs I chose to focus on would complete the narrative of what I wanted to say. And I would let the audience know who I am at this point in my work life. And as I listened to that, it was somewhat touching, but I thought, you know, we have a set list too. It's called our liturgy, our chants, our service. They come in a certain order. They lead us deeper into our vow as we engage service. So our services function in a similar way, as a way to embody and express what the Buddhas and ancestors have offered us, and then to allow that expression to become a personal narrative. It becomes our practice and our story, letting each other know where we are each time we do our chants and our vows, to move through all the bells and the sounds and the forms like we just did together, just a little bit. And so as I watched the film and thought, this is like a service. He goes on stage every night as we watch the different concerts, and he speaks openly to the crowd about the show's theme of death and remembrance. Especially there's one segment where he talks about a person I wasn't familiar with, George Tice, Theiss. He was the last surviving member of Bruce's high school band, the Castiles, who had died. And then he played the song he'd written in his friend's memory, and it's called Last Man Standing. 2 of the other band members in the E Street Band have died, both from natural causes. Imagine 50 years of a rock band and nobody dies of a drug overdose or anything else. The great Clarence Clemons, saxophone, he died at 69 from a stroke. And Danny Federici on keyboards and accordion, he developed melanoma and died at 58 years old. But no one else. And then Bruce says what we know in the film. He says grief is the price we pay for love. And then the reviewer begins to write about the end, how each concert ended. Damn it, I'm going to get through this. Okay. And so I'm going to read the part he wrote here with a little segment. The reviewer says, after the greatest hits encore, like every band does, they call him back and he does Born in the USA and everything else. After the greatest hits encore, it feels like the concert must be over, because how do you top that? And by the way, this is the segment that Suzanne made sure that we see. Springsteen smiles as he ushers each band member off the stage. He hugs them or fist bumps, pats them on the back. He's just so joyful as each person leaves. But now, after shaking us all up like a snow globe, I love that, he waits as the din subsides. It's huge, huge stadiums, He waits as the din subsides and everyone's eyes are on him. And after the last band member descends into the blackness under the stage, he remains alone. The crowd cheering as loudly as it has been all night, but I'm surprised it's hitting me so hard right now. I hope you'll bear with me. Because I'm remembering how it looked. So he is alone. He purses his lips in appreciation and picks up an acoustic guitar, a harmonica around his neck, walks to the microphone in the center of the stage, and begins to sing. His voice raspy from the night and thick with the wisdom of 75 years on stage, and a life on stage. And this is one of the verses in the song he sings. I'm not going to sing it. The road is long and seeming without end. The days go on. I remember you, my friend. And though you're gone, and my heart's been emptied, it seems, I'll see you in my dreams. I'll see you in my dreams. I don't think he's making some like sentimental statement about hoping that you're going to meet someone when you're asleep. That may be part of it. It seemed to me like he was singing about how we never lose love once it's come alive in us. It's indestructible, enduring, embodied, real, and we dream our lives into being anyway. We can see everything and everyone in each moment of that life, of that dream, if we practice really well. I'll see you in my dreams, in this dream, now. He began the set list in the beginning of the concert with a song maybe most of you are familiar with called Ghosts. And in the chorus of that song it says, I can feel the blood shiver in my bones. I'm alive and I'm out here on my own. I'm alive and I'm coming home. I could hear our chant of the refuges. Practice helps us feel the rapture of actually being alive. deep in our bones. I can feel the blood shiver in my bones. An aliveness that feels like coming home in some fundamental way. You know, taking refuge isn't some concept. It's not philosophy. It's aliveness expressing itself fully. I like that line, which you all know from Ram Dass about, and we're walking each other home. He says, "I'm alive and I'm coming home." And at the late in the same song, there's a line in one of the verses, because what I just said was like the bridge, the chorus. But there's a line that says, "By the end of the set, we leave no one alive." You know, by the end of the set, everybody's gone. Everything changes. Everything comes to an end. In the end, death is the great shared destination. Great is the matter of birth and death. All is impermanent, quickly passing. Awake, awake, don't waste this precious life. And after this beautifully joyful, solemn, and triumphant ending, where he's sitting there alone on stage, the concert moves to an end, as they do. But then in the film, Springsteen narrates the end of the movie. It's overdubbed, and his voice is overlaying images from all the concerts and all the tours. And it's focusing especially not so much on him or the band, but on the faces of the crowd, full of so much love and gratitude, of thanksgiving. And what he says in his final narrative so closely resonates with what I hope to communicate to each of you each week. That it did this. That I was stunned and touched. So here are Springsteen's words. Thank God for subtitles, because I can just write it out, watching the film. So this is Bruce. And then I'm going to re-say it in my words. This is Bruce. He says, "I stuck closely I stuck closely to our original set list on this tour because it told the story I wanted to communicate. Life, death, and everything in between." He said, "Playing music as you get older is an interesting and tricky business. Now I plan on continuing until the wheels come off, and for as long as the band will follow me. There's one thing I know after 50 years on the road. It's too late to stop now. Time moves quickly when you're on the road. And I've always believed the audience does not pay necessarily to hear their favorite song or to see your aging face again. But they pay for the intensity of your presence. Your presence. How alive you are on any given evening. And that's the beating heart of my job. To be there, and only there, playing for all the stakes rock and roll has to offer for you in your town on this night. And in doing so, I want to leave you with life's possibilities, with the energy to take outside the concert gates, to bring into your life with a smile on your face and some feeling of love in your heart, a quiet soul, and hopefully an uplifted spirit. It's my job." And when I listened to this, I thought, this is my job. To stick closely to the original set list, to the Dharma given to me by my teachers and reflected back to me by each of you, my longtime friends and students. Because it's the story I want to communicate about life and death and everything in between. offering the Dharma and showing up at inquiry, leading retreats, meeting with each of you, practicing steady. You know, this is a tricky business as we get older. I also plan to continue until the wheels come off, and for as long as you'll have me. I too know that after the same 50 years on the cushion, it's too late to stop now. Time has moved so quickly. It's astonishing. It's shocking, really. And I too know that you don't show up online or come to retreat to hear your favorite teaching or see my weary body try to bow one more time. I believe you come for the intensity of our shared presence, to be reminded how alive we can be in any given moment. And that's what Springsteen called the beating heart of my job. This is our job, to be here and only here, practicing with our whole heart and mind and body, right here, right now. And when we do, we help each other feel the fullness of life's possibilities. And we encourage each other to take that energy off the cushion and out of the zendo, bringing aliveness into the world and into the lives of those around us with some feeling of love in our hearts, so we have a more quiet soul and hopefully an uplifted spirit. It's my job. It's our job. And I'm so grateful to have this job. Almost there. And Springsteen concludes with a very surprising quote. It's a short quote. It's a prayer, really, from Jim Morrison, who sadly, as you know, died at 27. He says, "O great creator of being, grant us one more hour to perform our art and to perfect our lives. O great creator of being, grant us one more hour to perform our art and to perfect our lives." Just hang in there with me here. So by the end of the film, you've seen this aspiration and prayer made manifest in the performances and all the concerts all over the world. And if we continue to practice together, we will see the Bodhisattva vow made manifest in our lives and the lives of those around us. But if we don't, and if you don't turn off the movie, and you're still listening to the great music through the credits, you know, the music's so good, you want to just keep listening. And if you stick around long enough to the very end, you're going to get a glimpse of what this one more hour that Morrison mentions must have felt like to Springsteen in a very, very personal way. What aliveness and love in his heart was like, and what a peaceful soul and an uplifted spirit must have felt like to him. It's a brief clip in what appears to be a home movie, taken on the back porch of a house overlooking a sloping lawn, and there's a lake and a couple of Adirondack chairs arranged to appreciate the view. And there's an older man, and they're under a porch, and so it's backlit. And there's this older guy in a plaid shirt and khaki shorts and a baseball cap, dancing really gently with a much older woman who's frail and white-haired. And you can hear what they hear. The classic sound of the Glenn Miller band playing In the Mood. Most, a lot of you are old enough to know what I'm talking about. And because they're backlit, I can't. I assume it's Springsteen's mom and dad, but I realize no, it's Bruce. The older man is Bruce in the plaid shirt and the khaki shorts and the baseball cap, dancing with his mother. And they come together and hug as the music ends and the dance ends. All of it a small celebration of this moment of tender and joy-filled gratitude. It was Thanksgiving. Adele Springsteen died January 31st this year at 98. And that's as far as I'm going to go. Sorry about that. Thank you, Suzanne. Watch the movie. We can just sit together if you have something to say. Looks like Ben raised his hand. What a mess I am, Ben. I'm sorry.
Not at all. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I've got something on my screen. Unmute or later. Um, Apologies because I missed a big chunk of that. Um, because I got cut off and had some technical issues, but just came back as you were talking about Bruce Springsteen. I'm like, when you said Bruce, I was like, are you really talking about Bruce Springsteen, who's my favorite artist?
Well,
And
you
my
have to
second
watch the new film. It was just released like 2 weeks ago.
and my second favorite artist is Jim Morrison, and then Adam Duritz from Counting Crows. But I, I was at one of those concerts in Hyde Park when he did exactly the same thing.
So you
Where
saw it.
I saw it, and I was about 6 rows from the front, and I've sent you two pictures of a real him. You know, when he picks his guitar up and he does this. It's an iconic picture. But extraordinary when he did that and he saw the whole band off the stage. And then he was just there singing that song. It felt
Yeah.
like to his friend, and he felt like he was saying goodbye. It felt
Yes.
like a real, more than just saying goodbye to his friend. Somehow, it was profound across thousands of people that were in Hyde Park. It was something that I will never ever forget. And I have no idea about the film, so I really
It's
look.
it's still moving here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I ask? Is it Netflix or is it cinema or?
Hulu and Disney.
Okay.
Hulu.
Okay. I have no question. I was just really excited, and thank you so much for
Well, it helps. It helps us
express.
to know that you actually saw it. You were one of the people in one of those concerts, and you could see it.
Yeah, it was extraordinary, and I have that song and that one lyric. I see you in my dreams. That was it. Really, really
Yeah.
stuck with me, and he's my go-to person when I feel depressed or sad. He is my go-to person. Some of his early work, which I mean, like
Well,
I reckon
apparently for me too.
he played like 15 songs from Born in the USA. I mean, it was quite and Born to Run. It was
Well,
an
watch
extraordinary.
watch watch the film Road Diary. You might see yourself.
I hope not, but that's another story. Uh, Thank you so much.
I just want to thank you, Flint, for putting words to the experience of witnessing. It wasn't just seeing, it was witnessing what art can do
I got what
and
you
be
were
for us.
pointing to. Yeah, I got what you were pointing to, and then it hit me, and then I saw it as an expression of the Dharma.
I've seen it twice, once with my family and once by myself. And it was right after the memorial we had for
Yeah.
Steve. It was that night, and I I still haven't been able to put it into words. So thank you so much. But I knew that my body has been in full presence with this piece of art, and especially the last 20 minutes. And I'm so glad that you noted that last little scene, because the first time I saw that last little scene, I knew it was Bruce. And then and that piece I watched a few times and I went, no, maybe not. Oh, yes, it is. No, but it's the sweetest thing to see
Mhm,
him dancing with his mom.
mhm.
And the other thing that really touched me is that in terms of what he and his family are going through, his wife, Patty, has a blood cancer, very
Yeah, it's
similar
multiple myeloma.
to one I have. And so when I heard and when I think about his music, and it takes on a whole nother meaning when you know what's going on
Mhm. And when you're 75 years old.
when you're 75 years old and you've been through a lot. So thank you. Thank you so much, Flint.
Mhm.
And I'll take credit for everybody watching this film.
Eileen. Mhm.
Hello, everybody. I just want to very briefly add thank you, Flint. Thank you, Suzanne. That kind of for the first time in my 77 years, kind of what art means landed in me, having thought of myself as not. And that to understand that it is the expression of the Dharma, it is our expression of ourself. And
Yeah,
so and so for that I am speechless and full of
it's
gratitude.
a literal thanksgiving.
Yeah. Good. So thank you. Thank you all. I have
Oh,
nothing.
thank you, Eileen. Wonderful. Is it not true, Ed, that in the past at times he had Adele come up on stage with him and dance in different concerts? You have to put yourself up there.
I yeah, put myself up there and unmute myself. Let's see.
I didn't know that, but apparently that's not unusual. But this little clip is very personal.
Yeah, he's done things like that before with different people to have them come on stage. And sometimes it's someone famous, sometimes it's just a person who he looks at in the audience and he sees that depth of emotion. I know there was one time there was a young girl there, and he just reached down and told her to come on, help put her on stage, and she was either going to faint from joy or become enlightened at the moment.
Hmm.
Um,
It's an expression certainly of deep loving kindness and compassion.
and that is part of him. You know, when they first started touring, and my brother was with the band, because they didn't have Bruce Springsteen icon money, you know, everybody had to share hotel rooms. And David and Bruce bunked together a lot. And he said one of the things that impressed him and inspired him was how intense and dedicated Bruce was. When he was writing a song, he would not stop until he got that expression of what it was he wanted to express, you know, till he got the emotion right, till he got the words right, till he got the right chord to be able to go along with those words, because he's a consummate storyteller, but he has something that is a message in there that he wanted to communicate. And that was his goal. If I'm going to do this, I need to do this to communicate and to share and to have it be beneficial not only for him as a musician, but for everyone who was participating in that and who were engaged in the act of appreciation, which is an art form in and of itself.
Yeah. Yeah, and you see this in the way in which in the movie, there's a director or someone who directs the thing, of course, and puts it all together. But Bruce he does a lot of voiceover. He talks about these things, and you see, it's also transmission.
Mm.
You see transmission. But
It-
unless we get too heavy, if you don't mind saying what you were telling me about when you watch he and David texting.
oh. Yeah, we had a couple-minute chat before this all got started. And one of the things that I've been privy to reading some of the text messages between David and Bruce, and they're like little kids. They're like 6-year-old, 8-year-old boys laughing with each other, texting these messages. And, oh, did you see that? Did you hear that? I can't wait till we get together again to do this and that. And just to see that genuine joy and appreciation of each other, it's stunning. And he is a very real, compassionate person. And that's something that I see in his music is compassion and the deep involvement. And I've been listening to Bruce before he was Bruce, when he was playing in little coffee houses doing Led Zeppelin cover songs, if you could believe that. Um, but yeah, and it's just amazing to see this. And this seems to be a natural outgrowth of who he is and what he's done with his music and why.
Hmm. Well, it's a good reminder too that our practice leads us to places that are deepening and helps us face the matter of birth and death, but it also keeps the child in us alive, and that's part of the vitality that allows the fullness of life to open, open, open. It's bigger and bigger. We're not narrowing down on anything. It's opening something.
Right. And I see Becky has her hand up. So
Well, cede the floor to her. There you go.
Thank you so much, Flint. That was a beautiful bringing together of something that is quite important, which is that we don't wait until we're dead to have a celebration of life. And I've often thought I'd like to have a going out party,
Yeah.
and also, yeah, that don't just wait for your birthday to celebrate. Like, you know, this is the universe is celebrating us and life, our life, as well as all the other lives. And it seems sort of inappropriate to not touch into that celebration, the joy and the grief.
That's right. And offer thanks. Every day is gratitude. Every day is Thanksgiving.
Yes, indeed. Yes.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Becky. And Chris? I see the monk with his hood on there.
The monk in his cold cell. I'm not sure what I believe about the workings of the universe. And just at this moment, after the 3 weeks since the election, after that 3 weeks and your teaching just now, I'm understanding the ineffable gift of teaching and the ineffable gift of being taught.
Thank you. All of us.
I'm going to try and bring Bridget on. She said she couldn't raise her hand,
Oh, okay.
so not sure what's going on there, but we're trying. Are you there, Bridget?
I'm here. I don't know that people can see me. I don't know what's going on. Can you hear me?
We can
Yeah, I
definitely
can
hear
hear
you.
you. You just can't see you, but
Well, I don't know what's happening, but let me
oh,
just
there
add.
I can see your little square. I put on gallery view. I can see you now.
Okay, great. Well, one of the things that when I think about Bruce Springsteen was that during the Olympics, his daughter was in France participating in the equestrian events. I don't know whether you know that. She's a really remarkable equestrian, and he's obviously very proud. But there was a point in time where the camera panned them, and it's very nice to see someone of that age who's received so much recognition and obviously had great passion for his own work to bask in the glow of his daughter's events and activities. So I just wanted to add that, and my real deep gratitude. One of my aspirations was to be able to dance at my son's weddings. And I was able to dance at James's wedding, even though it had to be postponed and during COVID. But as you know, I still don't have much, if any, contact with my younger son. So there's a part of my heartstring that is trembling with the grief of that. But that's contrasted with the great joy I have of spending time with my grandchildren. Last night, I celebrated my 73rd birthday with them, and they both helped, Molly and Ben helped me blow out the candles. So all of this is a great reminder of how fleeting life is.
Yes.
And I'm really grateful to you and Suzanne for bringing this to us.
And remember that song about I'll see you in my dreams. Hold your younger son in your dream of what it's like to be together.
I do, and I give him meta every day.
Good. How about we end with the verse of the Han one more time, okay? I'll go slow. And great is the matter of birth and death. All is impermanent, quickly passing. Awake, awake. Don't waste this precious life. I'll add, and give thanks every day.
Thank you so much, Flint, for everything. And I just want to remind everybody that Appamada's programs, facilities, and Flint are supported through your generosity. And there is a link for contributions on the Appamada website. And if you'd like to stay on, join us just to meet or hang out or just to connect another half hour further, just stay where you are, put yourself in gallery view, or as someone I know says, pop yourself into gallery view and enjoy. We are here. Thank you. Bless you all.